Dummy Switch Pod. The boys
Yes,
are back.
sir. Aha.
How are you, Chris?
How's it going, Coders? No, I'm good, Codes. How's it going?
Good myself, the Dan Carters of podcasting here
Yeah.
to give you a week of rugby, a week of reviews, a week of discussions, more discourse. And you can catch us
Hey.
here, you can catch us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. And seeing as though we're going to jump into the box squad for the incoming tour, I think feel free to leave comments, discuss, are we right, are we wrong?
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah, I think that's where we should begin, although
Yeah.
we still have a Bok victory to talk about and a Bulls defeat, but jump
Mm.
straight into the Bok squad that's been announced. Let me just pull it up here. Pepsi's retained, Ben Jason Dixon's retained,
Mhm.
Peter Steph, Thomas Dutoy, who obviously those that'll watch English Premiership will tell us about how he's been having a stellar season. I think
Yeah.
he's up there with the top try scorers. It's a Beth.
Mm.
Robbie's gets a go. Koch,
Yeah.
Kolisi. There's no C next to his name there. Just
Mm.
pointing that out there. Um, Malherba, Marks, Bongi, Murat, Mostert, Oxenchair, Nyakane, who has, I think he's caused a few upsets there in terms of players that people want to see there. We've got
Yeah.
Ruiz, Kwaka, Algie Snyman, Gerard Steenkamp, Van Staden, Jan Hendrik Wessels of all people, and Jasper
Yeah.
Visa.
Hey.
Going to the backs, we've got who's returned,
Mm-hmm.
Curtly Aronsa, who's also returned, Dialendi, Faf, Esterhazen, Fassi, Sasha gets retained, Colby, Sasha that could have qualified for England, so that's put an end to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Colby's he's returned, Creel's there, Veli LaRue, who was much missed on the weekend, is there, Mani Lobok's
Yeah.
there, Mapimpi's there, Hollies, Reynach, Faf Light, interesting
The
enough.
flight.
Edwell,
Yeah.
I mean, there's been a lot of injuries, so I think he was one of the guys that we really thought would be retained, and Grant Williams.
Yeah.
Start off with surprise selection, Jan Hendrik Wessels,
Yeah.
third choice hooker at the Bulls, third choice prop at the Bulls, if that. A few, it's honesty. I mean, you can.
Yeah. No, it's the
This is the
truth.
thing. You can say he
It's
had
the
a
truth.
great career in high school. He had all these things, but when it's come to senior level, he just hasn't. He hasn't really produced. He's kicked on a bit, but not to the extent that. I mean, try and even think of the last time you saw him named in the match
The
squad.
Bulls
It's
side.
it's been a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah. Look, that one is I won't lie, that's a big surprise for me. The only thing that can make sense there is that they're looking at future player development pathway and getting him in there with the current experienced guys,
But
so
this
that
is
they
the
can.
this is the squad. This is not the Wales game.
Yeah,
Guys have been dropped. Guys have been left out. Guys,
yeah,
they're on that list of players on standby. You would think why not just put him on standby? But you're bringing
yeah.
him into this kind of environment. And to be honest, I don't see him making those steps. I think that there's other players that are far ahead of him.
That are ahead and that could do it. Yeah, look, I completely agree with you there. But maybe, because the coaches, they've got a history of, those left field selections that end up
Mm.
working out. So maybe he'll be one of those guys. But what a series, to be. Look, he's not the match day
Yeah.
23 at the moment, but what a series for him to be involved in, and you want to think this is the his chance, to maybe show something different. Definitely, they would have seen something that they've liked, and they want to maybe try
Yeah.
and spark it and grow it, But Ireland is serious business, no matter the fact that we
But
are the
even
world
if you're not
current.
talking match day 23, you've got to feel if you're Dweba, if you're Hugo Fenter, you've got to if you're
Yeah.
Aka van der Merwe, you've got to feel who Aka
Mm-hmm.
van der Merwe, you can make an argument that he's actually first choice hooker at the Bulls.
At the
So
Bulls.
yeah, so I mean if you're those players, I mean you can say yes, developing youth, this, that, the other, but those three guys,
Yeah,
I'm sure they would have loved to hold barge bags and be in that environment.
Yeah, true. Yeah, look, we'll see. Ukuthi kuyozala Nkomoni na lapho, we'll see what will come of it. Which car will be born. I think, if it's the direct translation, what will transpire basically,
Yeah,
with that selection as we go along. But I think, from the just looking at the pack, I don't have too many issues. I think most
yeah,
of the guys, like the Thomas du Toit selection, I think it's been there with them before. So even Yagane coming in there as well. It's a lot of the guys. It's guys that have consistently been in that system. I think good
yeah,
for Johan Kobla. I think this one I was expecting it, to for him to be included here, because I mean we saw even on the weekend for the Bulls he was big, and once he was
yeah.
subbed off, I think things, especially a breakdown where he was saving the Bulls a lot of the time, started going pear-shaped. So yeah, I can't really argue. Gerard Steenkamp, I think as well, because he was close last year,
Yeah,
with the World.
yeah, with kids of arts especially, I thoroughly believe in him. I think he's up
Yeah,
there.
yeah, so he gets his shot, but overall, can't really complain about. There's no really real complaints, it's just surprise,
Guys who will be
surprises.
complaining though is Elric Lowe will be complaining. They've taken Ben Jason
What do I
Dixon over
need to
him,
do?
and they've taken Pepsi over him. So he's one that will be complaining. Wilco Lowe
Yeah.
as well will be complaining because he's had a good season. But I think that goes to Nyakani being able to swing, being a swing prop. He can
Mm,
play loose head, he can play tight head. So I think that's what's made the difference there. Thomas Dutoy can do
yeah.
that to an extent as well. So I think that's worked out in their favor. Sasha being retained as well. I think
Yeah.
he's in that Damian Willemse role as a utility back, because
Mm,
it wouldn't really make much sense to have a third flyer half there when you've got Lebok, you've got Pollard, so get in a
yeah.
utility back there. So I don't
I
see
think so.
Sasha in as a fly half. I see him as a utility back.
Yeah.
Can't
But
really,
But look, I wouldn't be surprised. I'll say this, I wouldn't be surprised on the base of what has transpired so far. I wouldn't be surprised if they do give him a shot at 10.
yeah,
I think it's probably on the cards. I must say he's got that police vibe about him. He's got that politeness. Because he's Pollard as well. He's chilled. So he's got that thing.
yeah,
I won't lie. I'll give him that. He's got that thing about him where you can believe and back him. But I think, yeah, that one is definitely one for the future. This is definitely the project where he's going to learn as much as he can, because at some point he's going to be captain, or not captain of per se, but captain of the ship. Driving the car.
yeah.
With the keys. So I can understand
I'll
it
be
there,
honest, I
looking
don't
at
rate
that
him.
part there.
I don't rate him as a flyer half. I rate him as an
Yeah,
inside center and a fullback, the same way Damian Willemse is not a test level fly half. So
yeah.
I mean he can do it. He can do a job there, but I wouldn't say that
Mm,
he's a test level. I like that's where I see Sasha. That's where I like him, especially as a strike runner.
yeah,
So, but
yeah.
that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah, for another day, but yeah, overall, you're happy for guys like Edro keeping their spot.
Yeah,
Fafla, he's there, he's in the mix,
yeah,
he's got his namesake, the original there. So, I think there'll be a lot of learning from him. I think we'll see something there with him, because you also have Grant Williams, but then there's Kobus Reina. So, it can also just
yeah,
be about, them getting a lot of the guys getting acclimatized or learning more about the environment and how things are done, gearing up again, like I'll say, looking towards the future. But uh, that being said, I don't think there's time for that, especially I want that Bok dynasty where,
yeah.
nothing more than a win is acceptable. I think it's that time now. We need to get into that zone. Yes, we've got depth. That's all. What this proves is that there's a lot of depth in the country. in the country and also with some of the guys abroad. But even if we had picked locally, I
Yeah,
think we've got
Tyrone
some.
Green missing out. He's one that I even
Yeah,
forgot about. And there's Blue Bull supporters have been up in arms about Ulrich Lowe and Volker Lowe and even
yeah.
David Creel. But guys, let's get real. Look on your arm and Jesse Creel. You can't. David Creel is never. If you're being realistic,
Mm-mm.
he's never going to overtake
No,
those two in terms
no,
of the right now.
no. Yeah, no. Right now, no. Don't see that happening. And yeah, look, people will feel aggrieved, definitely, but overall, I think solid squad, solid team.
Yeah,
Look, it's all going to be about next weekend, at the end of the day with
yeah,
this group, So we congratulate them. We support them, even though we question some selections.
yeah.
But yeah, we will see. Which car will be born?
Yeah, I think let's move on to SA versus Wales, first test of 2024.
Yeah.
No Bulls players. Hendricks are in at 10, Fassi in at 15, Edwell at 14. Those are sort of the main things coming into this game.
Yeah.
If I have to give an overall before we dig deeper, stop-start game, I wasn't really too
Mhm.
impressed. Um, you don't know
6 out of 10.
what's my thing is you don't know what is players not being sharp and what's the new game plan. So it's
Yeah.
always like Faf was playing at a higher tempo. You don't know if that's just because he's taking it upon himself to do that, or is this the new direction that we're trying to go in?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just trying to figure out what's going on. It was a stop-start game that also didn't help, but I mean it's
Mm.
nice to see the boys on the park. That's always good.
Yeah.
How did you feel about it?
Like I say, for me, 6 out of 10, in terms of overall
Yeah,
performance, But yes, like you said, good to see the boys back on the park, Springbok rugby back in action. It's always good. But yes, I think it's one of the better opening games of the season from the Boks in a while. Overall, as much as it's 6 out of 10, but it was one of the better ones because
yeah.
they always had that control, even though at one
Yes.
stage it looked like the score line was a bit close. Especially in
Yeah,
the
at
first half, they
at
were
halftime it was
yeah.
14-13 going in at halftime, and that was no reflection of the game.
Yeah, so with that, that's why I say it was one of the better ones. It wasn't one where it was, panic stations, guys pulling the games out of the fire, But what was, I would say, disappointing is that just that inability, which I hope we'll find, that killer instinct, inability to really, really, put the foot on the throat when Wales were down, or when they had those yellow cards. I think they got a easy escape there, and look, good game management from Wales to keep themselves in that context for that period. I think what we learned there, we saw Rus. I think it showed Rus belongs for me. Um, Questionable calls refereeing is, that's the standard whenever South African teams are involved. So we'll just, get that one out the way. From the front three, more. Nothing, nothing new. They did their
Yeah.
job. I think it was good. Malcolm Marks got his hit out. Just so we can see. I think as expected. What he can do.
Yeah,
Um,
he was a bit rusty. He missed about I think two or
yeah.
three lineouts, but I mean it's
So
to
we
be
can accept.
expected. Yeah.
Yeah, we can accept that. I mean, he's earned the right for us to say, no, look, we can accept that, because of what he's done, and what we know he can do going forward. So I think it was just a matter of getting him a bit match fitter for the Irish series, because I think he has to be a feature in there. Um, Another thing that we learned, that I learned, for me, is yeah, look, Hendricks, yeah, 10 out of 10 enthusiasm, 10 out of 10 for effort, for effort. But yeah, look, not right now, man. For me, it's
Yeah.
not right now,
I think
man.
let's stay on Hendricks for before we dive deeper into other parts of the game. first half wasn't good. First, he missed off the tee. He had a forward
Yeah.
pass. He had an intercept. He lost the challenge in the air. He kicked the ball out on the full.
Mm.
Then they want to tell us about defensive stats.
Yeah.
So there's a bigger. This is. I'm not. He was thrown in at the deep end.
Yeah.
He also he doesn't pick himself. He's been
Exactly.
on the bench. He just does at the Lions. He comes in, he does the job. He didn't pick himself for this test. He looked rusty, and that's simply because he has been playing off the bench. It's no knock on
Yeah.
him. My thing is that don't give us defensive stats when they don't paint a full picture of what's
Mm.
going on.
Yeah.
He kicked the
Yeah.
ball out on the full. Q and Horn takes kickoffs for the Lions. So when I
Mm.
see that, I'm like, it's expected. But do defensive
Yeah.
stats tell you that he
No,
doesn't take kickoffs for the Lions?
they
They
won't.
don't.
They won't tell you that.
So, in terms of just giving defensive stats, it doesn't paint a full picture of
Yeah.
what's going on.
Yeah. And look, I'll say this, just to boost him a little bit. You can see that
Yeah.
there's something there,
Yeah.
that we can work with, But the thing is, you saw that this is a guy that hasn't been playing 10 recently.
Yes.
You,
Yes.
you understand. So, that's for me, that's my cry, in that respect. But like you said, he doesn't pick himself. I'll give him like I said, 10 out of 10 for the effort, these enthusiasm, because he showed, even look, he was willing to even get it stuck in, securing ball in the breakdowns when it was necessary for him to get in there, even though it's not his primary job, But yeah, like I said, not right now, man. I
And the
think
thing is,
he
he had a good second half. He had a good second half. He
better.
especially kicking for touch, kicking for poles. So he
Yeah,
warmed into the game like a player that's rusty. So
yeah,
that's it's the cry from the beginning, it's the cry at the end, is that you need to be picking guys that are playing 10 at club level.
yeah, yeah.
So I mean,
So
I do feel for him. I do feel for him that, he was thrown in at the deep end to go
mm,
from the situation of being backup for the better part of 6 months to starting for the
yeah,
Boks.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. But overall, you can see there's a new kind of shape that they're trying to put
Yeah.
together. You can see Mr. Brown there. You can see his hand in it. To get that width and that playing through the contact. And getting that and moving that ball, the soft hands. You can see those little elements that they're trying to implement. So that's why I won't knock him too much in this because it was their first game for the Springboks
Yeah.
in 2024, so yeah, I wouldn't be too aggrieved, and that's why at the end I'm still there at six out of 10. But if we move on, I think Esterhuizen, he had a decent enough showing. We certainly saw a difference in the line speed on defense, a better defensive shape when Dialende was on. That's one thing for sure. They started looking different on the press there. You
Yeah.
know, Jesse Krill, look, he's just continuing from where he left off last year, and you can see him and Mapimpi. You can see that they've got that understanding, the senior statesman as it is right now. That
Arms
one
back.
too.
Who do you
You
pick?
know, yo, it's tough now. Look, I'm being honest. I've always been an arm guy, but it's difficult now. I certainly think he probably makes the 23, maybe off the bench. Or probably because we've seen it before. With him being on the wing with the British and Irish Lions. With the incoming series, so there's a possibility we might see that maybe. But yeah, look, I'll still go with Creel because he's
Yeah.
he's been he's been the guy. He finished off the season on a high. He's starting off picking up where he left off. Yeah, so it's difficult to put him out.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah,
I'll go Creel. I go Creel. I just
yeah,
don't want to see him on the wing, especially with the game Edwin van der Merwe had. Like there's no
yeah,
reason there's no reason
yeah,
to play him on the wing when we've got
yeah.
Colby. I think Colby's back, Arends is back,
Arends is back. You
Edwill's
got
there.
Edwill.
So yeah,
Mapimpi's there as well.
yeah,
So you covered Williams is also they played him there on the wing before,
yeah.
but that's I think in case of emergency. But yeah, then Mapimpi solid. He's a senior statesman, solid as well, decent outing. I think the guys that really stood out, especially in the back line for me, really was fussy,
Yeah.
he made sure, with diffusing the high bombs,
I think he was
which,
100% in the
yeah,
air,
yeah,
except for that yellow card, which
100,
obviously I don't know. How do you feel about that yellow card? For me, his leg was in the air, he couldn't land.
I,
So, like, what do you expect a player to do when
no,
someone is underneath them? Because to me, it looked like he saw the guy at the last minute and tried to raise his leg.
yeah,
So there's where your leg is already in the air. How high
yeah.
can it go? What did they want him to do in the situation?
I don't know, but for me, like with that, that Nongoloza wasn't intentional. You know what I mean? It wasn't intentional. But and further to that is, like you say, he's in the air. That's typically how he's been getting up in the air. It's
Yeah,
not like this is something out of the ordinary for him. And what I found interesting was how the referee had made up his mind on that he wants to give a yellow card, even when the assistant referee, I heard it, I
yeah,
think
yeah,
everybody heard it. The assistant referee was trying to tell him that no, look, this guy, his leg is already. He's not even looking at the oncoming player, so he does. It was mainly for the balance, because of his body angle in the air. And if you look at that and if you change his body angle to, if you draw a straight line and you change his body angle, you see how the leg is lifted, in support of his jump for balance,
yeah.
So, yeah, that was a tough yellow card, but at least he got that Nongoloza in, I would say, just for control, and look, it didn't hurt us that much, but it's one of the things that he's got to try and cut
Yeah,
out of his game,
yeah,
is those moments, or bringing the referee into the game,
yeah.
because we've seen it before, with the Sharks in I think it was the semi-final, if I'm not mistaken, or the quarter-final, where he got carded.
It was the
It was one
semi-final
of
and
them,
the final.
semi-final, yeah, and the final
And
as
the
well. But
final.
not yeah, you see, he got carded, so we don't need that. I think that's one of the things he needs to cut out on, just to. It's unlucky, yes, because it's down to
Yeah,
interpretation and who the referee is on the day. But yeah, I think solid. Edwin van der Merwe doing what wingers or scrum caps do in South Africa, and is get involved, get stuck in, and score.
yeah. He did.
So
He didn't do anything wrong, and then he
yeah,
took his moment. He took his moment where he found two forwards and the footwork.
yeah. I'll say the moment when, I think, was it his first touch where he took his opposite man on the outside. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. It was one of, and the thing that makes me laugh about that moment was that came off the back of the intercept where he made those two tackles. The next
yeah,
play, he got the ball. He took him. So you could see the confidence levels. The confidence,
yes.
although it was Rio Dyer would struggle to make College Rovers team, but
No, but
that's
still, the confidence. I mean, when last have you seen that from a South African winger?
yeah,
On debut, willing to take his guy on the outside. To you understand, backing himself to do that. So for me, that just showed his confidence, showed he belongs. A lot of these guys, just it's just a continuation, of the Springbok saga. But now it's more, the stakes are higher, for
yeah,
me going forward, because now this is that dynasty that, remember, I was talking about that dynasty, last season, even of the 2019. This is that dynasty
yeah,
that we want, because for me, this year they've got to beat Ireland, and it's got to be 2-0, and they have to win the rugby championship. For me, those are non-negotiables, for this
I don't
season.
even want to get to rugby championship. I just
Yeah,
think that
we'll get
series
to.
against the Irish,
Yeah,
I'm just hoping that we look sharper in that
yeah,
game, because in this game we did have pressure at the breakdown, defense, that
mm,
it's a constant, but we're going to need the other things to rise to that
yeah,
level, and especially when we get the Bulls guys back, we'll see how it goes. Just the
and to
final
cut out
thing.
those.
Yep.
Sorry, just one more, and to cut out those soft moments, yeah, it's just the bounce of the ball, Wales getting that try. It was a storyline line out, which is it's good set piece work, but now, we weren't able to clean it up, and they just benefited off of that. So just those little things, but you're not everything else. You can't question work rate, you can't question the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guys they showed out. Guacha was doing his thing. Peter Steph,
Yeah.
yeah, like all the guys, so pleasing, but still it's a 60%.
The guy we were missing out was Sasha. Sasha who came in last 20
Oh yeah,
and he announced himself on the big stage with that kick. But I mean, it's
what?
something, it's not new to us. It may be new to the world, but it's not new to us, and
Yeah,
effectively can't be capped by
yeah,
the English for now, at least.
yeah. I know he's ours now. Look, I think maybe they've given them Tyrone Green to say, look, you can have him. Maybe we don't know. But yeah, look, he had a good. That was good kick. Yes, like you say, it's nothing new to us. Good kick. But for me, like I said, he's just got that thing. He
Yeah.
looked comfortable. So look, he doesn't pick himself, but for the moment that he was on the field, he didn't really do anything wrong. So yeah, you can't nitpick at him, But you look good on the guys that got their debuts, and I think solid enough, But
Yeah.
the real test is next week.
Yeah. Next week we look forward to announcement on Tuesday. We'll be back here
Mhm.
to dissect
Yeah.
it and tell two-time winning World Cup coaches where they're going wrong. But I mean, that's
No, this
that's
is what
what
they
we have to
wanted.
do. Yeah.
No, they wanted this thing when they came in 2018. They said they wanted South African people to be talking about the Springboks. We're doing it now, So,
Yeah.
yeah, So we'll continue.
We'll continue. Let's go talk Bulls. Bulls versus Glasgow. Sold out Loftus. When Willie Leroux was announced that he was out, it was that was a massive miss, a massive blow. Curtly Arons are back, but even when he came back, it wasn't the same. It
Yeah, it
was, and
wasn't.
I would have much rather, if I was a Bull supporter, I would have much rather had Curtly stay out and have Leroux in than the way that it went. If you could choose, because of how
Yeah,
pivotal Willie is
on
to the
attack.
attack.
Mm,
And
mm,
to be fair, they had a good start. The set piece, the scrum, it was operating. The line out, they were winning their line out. It wasn't as clean as they would have hoped, but they were still in
yeah,
good position. There were breaks. Papier almost scored the first try. Devon Williams had a nice line break there, but they just couldn't finish it.
yeah,
But the problem to me was they couldn't get the go forward ball that they'd been
yeah,
getting against Leinster. The
yeah,
the Glasgow defense was just too tight. They weren't giving them those meters,
yeah.
which they could get penalties off of, which they could make play off of, which they could get those waves of attack. It just wasn't happening.
Uh,
And f- additionally, when that did go, they just couldn't capitalize at certain moments.
yeah,
And then the second half, they just couldn't get any territory. They were just stuck
yeah.
in
They
their own
couldn't.
half.
They were stuck in their own half. So Glasgow did to them in that second half what they did to Leicester, is keeping them pinned in their own half. Yeah, and for me, I'll say old habits sort of die hard because we started seeing those frailties that we were crying, that I thought that they had
Yeah,
rectified from the Leinster game, and they were on tune there. But if we're being honest, they didn't back it up. The long and short of it is that they didn't back it up. They didn't back up that Leinster performance. Yes, guys like Hanekom were big against Leinster, but this time around,
yeah,
he was a non-factor. I think the only real sort of, from a carries perspective in gaining meters, was Marco van Staden, where
yeah.
you could see he was fighting, real hard to gain those meters, and credit to Glasgow's defense. They weren't giving up those meters easily, and once the Bulls
Second
don't
half,
have
they
that,
were offside most of the time, but the referee just
yeah.
seemed
No, look,
uninterested. But
we'll get to that one, But first thing, we must address our own people first. That they they didn't show up, and
yeah,
they opened the door for those sort of things to happen to them. If
yeah,
if I'm making sense, because like they didn't capitalize on their opportunities. They didn't convert all the entries into the 22 into points, and I think they failed to recognize the fact that, and this is where you need your captain, the more experienced guys to recognize that every time they're getting into that Glasgow 22, and particularly in that second half, there's always an infringement, and it seems like Glasgow were having a fun day here infringing. It was a day of infringements for them, but look, that ref. I know people saying, "Oh, Jake White, this Jake White." I agree with Jake White. That referee came on tour with Glasgow. He went because remember he was in Ireland with them, so they were on a tour with the ref. You understand, So he wanted to get those W's. Those away wins as well. Because some of the decisions they lean to more or towards Glasgow. To be honest, there was no. It's difficult. But again, the Bulls are
When
victims
Wilco
of
Low
their
got
own
held up, that looked like more of a try than Van Staden's
try.
try. Van Staden's try, you could argue he got tackled, whatever. That actually looked more egregious than Wilco Low. It looked like he scored the try.
Yeah, I thought he scored.
Besides that, Bulls also, they didn't do well. Around halftime, they could have gone in at 13-0 up.
Yes, they
And
didn't
then they
defend
mess up
well
their
enough.
own maul, and then it does points like that. Then when they did dying minutes of the game, when they did have chances to try and go back, Kuersen kicks it out on the full.
No
And then when
composure.
when they do get that maul now going, there's a yellow card. I'll always say, why are you keeping it in the forwards when there's a backline player missing?
Yeah, yeah.
It just tactically, that just doesn't make sense to me. You're keeping it, you're 8-on-8 there, whereas at the back they're missing a player. Why
Yeah,
not work a situation to where you can use that advantage? I mean, at the forwards you're not using it, so
yeah.
but
Yeah, and I think that's where we see the Villy Leroux effect, because just even that shape on attack, Devin Williams had that one break, I think again it was just decision making, in hindsight when you rewatch it, you can see, there was maybe another option at the kick, because of how things were quickly developing, with that break. So like I say, the Bulls, they they basically conspired against themselves in this game, and they just, once Glasgow started realizing that they have a chance here, then it was tickets from there, where you knew that it was going to be a bit tough, and yeah, and they had, you could see they were willing to down their sword. They were running
yeah.
it. Their decision was, we're running this thing, we're going to move this pack around. Uh, and look, it paid dividends for them. But again, it's down to the Bulls, where even defensively, we spoke about this, leading up to even before the knockouts, to say, if they don't fix, that's not championship. Then they fixed it against Leinster, gave us false hope, and they just reverted back to their old ways, because that's what happened. They went back to their old ways of
Yeah,
what
it
was
looked like,
happening in this.
league game
Yeah,
type thing.
they reverted back to their old ways. So they've got nobody else but themselves to blame for that. But the referee also had a hand, in there. I'm supporting Coach Jake here.
Any closing remarks for the week, Chris? Next week, hopefully Loftus Versfeld can be a more
Yeah.
positive place.
No, we'll be there. We'll be there, and yeah, hopefully, they can get the results. But this week they gotta work on this dynasty. This week and next week. It's 2-0 or nothing. It's 2-0 or nothing. That's all I'm saying.
That's it from us. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for listening.